Hey creative, what's up? It's your girl Jamila and welcome back to my laboratory. Today I'm going to show you how I used an embroidery font from Etsy, some heat transfer vinyl, and my Ricoma embroidery machine to customize this awesome BELLA+CANVAS hoodie. Of course, I'll have everything I use listed in the description box below. And if you liked this video, you learned something new, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and make sure that bell notification is on so you don't miss any of my upcoming craft tutorials. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start off with the blank screen in Chroma Inspire, and I'm hitting new design. Nope, don't want to update now. So this is the font that I got off Etsy, and of course I'll have it linked for you in the description box of this video, but it's a double zigzag college font, okay? So what I'm going to do is go over here to File and hit Merge. Then I'm going to go to my downloads and I'm going to find that zip file that I downloaded. So my Ricoma machine does deal with DST files. So all of these are DSTs, and I'm going to go ahead and use the 3-inch letters. And basically I'm just going to go ahead and find the letters that I need to spell out the word. So here's our C. So it opens up sideways. Let me zoom. Oh, why is it so close? So it opens up sideways. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and hit Control G, and that's going to group everything together. Then I'm going to go ahead and rotate it right. Okay. And before I even start, really honestly, I'm going to go up here and grab my hoop. So I'm going to use the 12.2 by 8.3 inch hoop on my Ricoma Em1010. And I'm going to hit OK. And this is going to basically let me know that my design is going to stay within the hoop and what it'll look like, etc., etc. So I got to keep going back to File and hitting Merge to upload each individual letter. There was a one point in time where I knew how to upload all the letters at one time, but I cannot remember how to do it for the life of me. So if any of you in the comments remember how to just upload all of these at one time so I don't have to do it individually, that would be a lifesaver if you could let me know. Alright, so basically, and how you upload these into the software is how it's going to stitch out, okay? So I mean it's all going to work out in the end, but you know, if that's something that's important to you, just keep that in mind. So I'm just going to go ahead and spell out my word creative, and I'll be back. Okay, so now that I have all my letters imported, I'm going to kind of move them like pretty close to each other, but not touching. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take my first row and select all of those. And I'm going to go up here and align them to the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit Control G again and group all of these together. So now they all move as one versus individually. And I'm going to just do the same thing to the bottom row. Move them pretty close together. Select them all. Align to the bottom. And group. So honestly, that is pretty much it for the design. So if you're wondering why my screen is like this purple color, it's because I like to see what it's going to look like on my garment, right? And to change your color right here, you just go down here to like this monitor and change it to whatever color you want. Right? I mean, and then you can go down here and change your thread color and things like that as well, but I always just kind of leave that. So now I'm done with my design. I'm just going to go up here to File, and I'm going to hit Print Preview because this is the page I want, right? It's like a template on that we can put on our shirt to kind of give us a guide of how to center it, what it's going to look like, etc., etc. So I'm going to go ahead and print that, but I'm going to turn it landscape. Go to my preferences, turn it landscape, and I'm just going to go ahead and print that as well as the stitch order for our design. So now that I have all that, I'm going to go ahead over here to file, and I'm going to save this as a DST file to my USB so that I can go ahead and upload it into my Ricoma machine. Okay, so I'm not going to show y'all that step. I'm going to skip that step because this part looks different for everybody. But this is basically how I just used the font from Etsy to go ahead and create this design. And again, the link for the shop that I purchased this font from will be in the description box. So now that we have all this, let's move on to the next part. So now that our design is done, I'm going to go ahead and add the stabilizer to my hoodie. I'm using a cutaway stabilizer because, you know, they say if you wear it, you don't tear it. So I'm using a pretty thick cutaway stabilizer as well, because I like to use a thick one when I'm doing applique projects because it stitches over the same spot a few times, and I just want to make sure our design isn't going anywhere, right? So I'm using that printout as a guide of where to put my stabilizer and where to put my bottom hoop, and I'm really just feeling it like in position, right? Like I have a really good idea of where I want my design to be, so I'm just kind of positioning the hoop and the stabilizer underneath so that everything will be all lined up. And I'm going to use this spot on the hoodie as a guide of where my center is, and then I'm just going to go ahead and use this water soluble fabric marker and make a couple marks. I'll make a mark at the top and right in the center of the design and at the bottom, and then I'll just go ahead and take this ruler and line everything up, and that'll be a nice center line for me to follow for when I'm adding my top hoop and just making sure everything is in position. And I'll be using this as a guide when I go ahead and do my trace my design. I'll put my needle over there where I want the design to be. Now that I have everything hooped, I'm going to go ahead and kind of speed up the process and pre-cut all of my HTV pieces that I'll be using. Now, I'm using HTV for this project, but you can also use fabric. I mean, you can really use anything you want, you know what I'm saying, for applique projects, but I really like the way that HTV looks. I like the variety I get from it as well. I'm using HTV from Heat Transfer Warehouse and Tech Rep Craft. The metallic colors are the ones that is from Tech Rep Craft. Everything else is from Heat Transfer Warehouse. And of course, I'll have those links for you in the description box of this video. I'm not really measuring, just kind of winging it, you know, based on the size of the embroidery font that we used. So yeah, and this is a great way to like use scraps. If you have a bunch of scrap HTV pieces or whatnot, this applique projects are like a great stash buster. But if you're enjoying this video so far, if you learned something new, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the laboratory if you haven't for more weekly awesome craft tutorials like this. So for this project, each letter has 6 steps. Okay, so basically the steps are as follows. You're going to have a trace stitch, a tack down stitch, the first zigzag stitch for the bottom letter, then the trace, tack down, and zigzag stitch for the top layer, and then you'll go on to the next letter. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and program that into my machine, and I'm basically using the same colors for this whole project, right? And when I looked at this printout sheet, I was like, now how is this gonna work? Because my machine can do 10 color changes, right? But as you see on the front screen, it's only like 25 rows or whatever, but this one has like all these stops and changes and things, and I was like, how is that gonna work? But I was like, all right, let me just go ahead and see what happens. So I started plugging in the colors and things, and it goes to a second page. I was like, wow, I've had this machine for almost like 3 years, and I literally just learned something new. I didn't know it could do, you know, that many color stops and changes and things like that. So that was really cool. And I have it set to automatic manual. So basically after every stitch is going to stop, and I'll push the start button again. And I like to do it like that because after every stitch I can go ahead and, you know, put my vinyl down, let it stitch, etc., etc. So I have it to stop after every color change so that I can place my vinyl, cut the vinyl off, or do whatever it is I need to do for an applique product. Okay, so once I have everything all programmed on the machine and it looks good, I'm gonna go ahead and do my trace stitch, right, making sure I'm not hitting any of the outside of the hoop. And I'm gonna take this needle and I'm gonna align it with the dots that I created uh, when we were doing the hooping to make sure everything is nice and centered. And then once everything looks good, just gonna go ahead and hit start. And now normally I would say we'll hit start and let Ricky do his thing, but since this is an applique project, we're gonna be pretty hands-on. So of course, like I said, the first stitch is the trace stitch, which lets you know where to place your vinyl. Well, in this case vinyl, but whatever material you're using. Once you have it in the correct position, I'll go ahead and hit start again, and it'll tack this down, okay? So it's just a tack down stitch, it's not holding it. After the tack down stitch is where I'll go in with my scissors and I'll cut off all that extra vinyl. Then after I cut off, now this part's a little bit tricky. Yeah, you really need some curved embroidery scissors. Some small scissors are awesome when you're doing applique projects, okay? So the little curved scissors and then like the little snippy scissors too. I even had to pull out some tweezers to get in between like this little middle of the A or whatnot. So, you know, you're going to be using a variety of tools when it comes to these embroidery projects. But yeah, small scissors are definitely a must. So after you cut everything off, you're going to go ahead and do your tack down stitch, which is actually the first zigzag stitch of the bottom layer. Then you'll just repeat the process again, honestly. After it does the zigzag layer on the bottom, it's going to do the trace stitch for, because it is a double applique. So it's going to do the trace stitch for the top part of the letter. You're going to go ahead and put your vinyl down again, do another tack down stitch, cut it, so on and so forth, right? I mean, it's just a repetitive process, and I'm not even going to make y'all watch all of that. I'm going to kind of zoom through that in this video. But yeah, applique projects are great for beginners. I really like applique projects because they don't use as much thread as, like, say, you know, if I was doing like a regular embroidery project, they don't use as much thread. So yeah, I think it's just great for beginners or whatnot. It's definitely easily able to be customized, different occasions. And like I said, you don't have to use HCV. You can use fabric, you can use leather, you can do whatever it is that you want to do. You know, let your imagination run wild. And of course, I'm using a BELLA+CANVAS hoodie for this, and you guys know that you can order directly from BELLA+CANVAS now. There's no order minimums, or you don't need a resale certificate or anything like that with their maker's account. And of course, that information will be linked in the description box of this video, as well as everything else you need for this video. And y'all, I'm making this hoodie because your girl is about to go on a workcation in a couple weeks, right? And it's gonna be me and a bunch of different YouTubers. A lot of y'all faves are probably gonna be there. You know, Katrina from Graceful Creations, Jennifer from Maker, Chonita from Do Dream On, Patrice from Craftable Things. I believe Eve from Baby's Booty is gonna be there. Rich from Hustle Ninjas. Like, it's just gonna be a bunch of us. We're going to Fargo, North Dakota. We're linking up at Heat and Transfer Warehouse for their Wallapalooza. And yo, last year was so much fun. So I really can't wait to see everybody again. So I was like, you know what? So last year when we went, like, you know, it was July, so we're thinking it's hot and stuff, but it was a little cold. You know, their 75 degrees is not the same as, you know, the 75 degrees here in Memphis. So I was like, you know what? This year I'm going to be prepared. And shout out to Bella Canvas because last year they gave us like Heat Transfer Warehouse gave us goodie bags, and in our goodie bags were some hoodies from Bella Canvas. And yo, everybody had their hoodies on the whole trip because like we were like, not prepared. Like it's not like cold, but look, it's different, okay? So hoodies are definitely a must. So yeah, shout out to Bella Canvas for like literally saving everybody last year because we were all like, man, it's like windy here. What is going on? So that's just a funny little story. So yeah, so I was like, if I'm gonna be at this, get together with all these creatives, of course I have to have something custom made. And if I have to sit in a cold airport and things like that, I have to be in my Bella Canvas hoodie because these hoodies are like so soft. Like seriously, it's like I'm gonna be wrapped up in a blanket. Like their fleece hoodies are so soft. Listen, they need to make a blanket. Like one of those blankets you sit on the couch and watch a Netflix show or something with because literally they're the best. And Bella Canvas has a ton of colors and things like that to go from. So yeah, like I said, you can order directly from them. No order minimum or resale certificate needed. Okay, so go ahead and grab you one. But yeah, this is how it turned out, you guys. And look how freaking cute it is. Oh my goodness, I absolutely love it. Like, I'm literally obsessed. Okay, so once we take everything off the machine and out the hoop, we're just going to go ahead and cut away that stabilizer. I start off with like some big scissors and cut off, like all the extra, like, a lot of the extra. And then I'll go in with those same curved scissors I used earlier and get as close to the design as possible without actually cutting the design, okay? Y'all, be careful when you do this. Because if you cut a stitch, it's over with. You've ruined your whole project. So, yeah, so we're just gonna get in there really good and just cut away as much of the stabilizer as possible. But the stabilizer is pretty soft, so it's not even like it would bother you, but still, nobody wants a big chunk of stabilizer just sitting on their chest. So I definitely look forward to sharing Wallapalooza with you guys. I will be vlogging it this year, so look forward to that. Look forward to seeing all of your faves. And the inspiration behind the colors on this hoodie were these sneakers I had, because I'm kind of preparing to pack, but not necessarily packing yet, just getting a visual of my outfits. And I was like, I have these sneakers, and I had that purple Bella Canvas hoodie, and I was like, let me see what vinyl I have. And I'm like a vinyl hoarder, so see, sometimes being a craft hoarder is a good thing because look how awesome. Like this fit is gonna go crazy. And I love this design so much. I went ahead and made it in red, of course. If you like something, get it in every color. But that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and you learned something new. If so, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and make sure you're subscribed. And until next time, I'll see you later.